So last week, Hit, Beerus, and Goku Black were announced through some scans, and over the weekend on Jump Festa, we didn't get a trailer for these characters as I expected. No, we got a full match during the live stream. We got a bunch of press outlets recording matches with these characters, which will now allow us to check out their playstyle and see how they fit into the roster. My name is Globku, and here's how these characters play. Alright, first of all, for this video, we are sourcing gameplay from many different YouTube channels. The official Bandai Namco livestream from Jump Festa, from Eurogamer Portugal, who have some pretty rough gameplay, but we can still spot some auto combos there, so we're using that footage. From GameSpot, who have some semi-decent gameplay as well, and then from two Spanish YouTubers, Mary Station and Vandal.net, who did some really good coverage on these characters. And besides playing these characters, they show off some story mode footage, practice mode, arcade mode, and if you understand Spanish, the information they give you with commentary is pretty awesome. Links for all that in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's look at the character, starting with Beerus, which I think is the most interesting of the three. As far as playstyle goes, of course, I'm sure everyone has their favorite characters, but goddamn, Beerus sure looks unique and very tough to play. At first glance, he seems to be a very hard character to master because he's got some insane moves. And that's mostly because of these orbs that he's able to summon and manipulate at will. So Beerus can summon these orbs at any time during a match, and by kicking and punching them, he can move them through the screen. He can hit them hard to use them as projectiles, or just nudge them slightly and control the stage that way. He's got a move where he can summon 6 of these orbs simultaneously, or he can just summon 1 or 2 at a time if he wants to be a bit faster and not be vulnerable while summoning all 6. This makes Beerus very, very unique as far as gameplay goes, because he's the only one who can control the stage like this. No other character in the roster can do something like this. We've seen a little bit of this with Piccolo and the slow-moving orb, but this is just next level. The orbs can bounce from the ground and on the walls of the stage. You can kick them into the air, causing them to fall slowly on different parts of the map, and you're doing this by punching and kicking. So you could be thinking about these moves in multiple levels. You could be thinking about actually attacking the opponent with these punches and kicks while also adjusting the position of your orbs, or straight up just using the orbs as projectiles. This is some next level stuff, and that's why I think he is a very high level character. It will be tough to master Beerus, mark my words. His assist attack also follows this gimmick as Beerus comes on screen and kicks an orb in the opponent's direction. And while this may seem incredibly powerful at first, the orbs seem to share the same priority as your basic ki blasts, because a super dash will just destroy them, as we can see Hit doing here while he tags in. And I think this is really what makes it tough to use Beerus, because all of a sudden this zoning option can be countered by a super dash, by any high priority ki blast like the Kamehameha, or any super attack. Now make no mistake, the orbs are a powerful ability, but given their low priority, they will be hard to master. And that is Beerus' main gimmick. Of course, he's got other interesting moves as well. Before we even talk about his supers, he's got this ki blast explosion where it looks like Beerus is just waking up and stretching, saying, "Good morning, would you like a dose of destruction for breakfast?" He's also got a ground smash that looks very similar to Vegeta's intercept kick, a way to get back to the ground very fast while attacking the opponent. And we also see some auto combo action in which Beerus actually crosses up to the enemy's back and hits him over the head. This is important to note because even if the opponent blocks the first 2 attacks with the auto combo, he needs to switch the direction he's blocking if he doesn't want to get hit. And also, it seems like this is an overhead attack, so it's possible that this is unblockable while you're crouching, though we need to get our hands on the character to actually test this out. His supers are also interesting. He's got a level 1 where he throws this huge ball of destruction for just 1 bar of meter, and he can actually turn this into a level 2 super, because if you want to spend another bar of meter, Beerus will throw this small ki blast that will just explode the whole thing for more damage. And then we have his level 3, in which he just destroys his opponent, making him completely vanish if he kills them. However, this is not an instant KO move like Android 16's self-destruct, and I honestly think that's fair, because the activation on this is just incredibly fast. If it doesn't kill the opponent, it just deals a lot of damage like any other level 3, and the activation is a close range grab that is incredibly fast. Like I said, it's very hard to dodge if Beerus is up in your face, which is why it makes sense that this is not an instant KO move, because Android 16's self-destruct is very easy to dodge. So if this was an instant kill, it needed to have a weaker activation in my opinion. Next up, we've got Hit, and I've been looking forward to this guy for a very long time. He's probably the most hyped character for me personally. I really wanted to see how Arc System would tackle this very unique character, and I don't think they've disappointed. This guy is incredibly fast. That's how Arxis is interpreting his time skip mechanics, by making him insanely quick. Simply by dashing left and right, Hit vanishes. He crosses up to the opponent's back. He's able to go back and forth with extreme speed. So I believe he's gonna be this incredible rushdown mix-up type of character that will require very fast reflexes to play with him and against him as well. And that's only part of his gimmick, his speed and the fact that he can attack right after a dash with almost no vulnerability frames after dashing, allowing him to get in and out of danger incredibly fast. But that's not all there is to him. You may notice that sometimes a beam of energy comes out of his punches. Now, if you watch the anime, you know that that's part of his assassination style, but in the game, you see the same moves with and without energy coming out of it. I haven't been able to figure out 100% how this works, but thanks to the Spanish YouTuber Mary Station, he says that you can do a stance change with Hit. So basically you have a command input that activates this mode for Hit, and then your normal attacks have energy beams coming out of it, which basically increases their range significantly. I haven't been able to spot the difference visually in his fighting stance, nor did I spot the moment where the stance was activated, but given how good Mary Station's coverage of these characters is, I'm willing to take his word for it. And Hit still has another move that makes him very unique, distinguishes him a lot from the other characters, and that's his counter attack that seems incredibly powerful. So far we only had one character that could counter like this in the game, and it was Piccolo with his Demon Slicer. And it really is pretty much the same, where once you activate it, if you get attacked, you will counter the enemy without taking any damage. The main difference is if you don't get attacked, then Hit will not counter, which Piccolo always tries to do the Demon Slicer whether he gets attacked or not. However, Hit can activate this ability in the air, so Hit can counter both on the ground and in the air, and this may very well be a lifesaver for this character, because so far he's got a very obvious weakness, which is his aerial game. Most of his abilities, with the exception of this counter, can't really function in the air. He doesn't have this incredibly fast dash. He loses a lot of his mobility once he leaves the ground. He's also somewhat vulnerable from a distance, so I suspect he'll be a character where you just really have to learn to close in the distance, which shouldn't be too hard because he's just incredibly fast and you can just dash forever. As far as supers go, both his level 1 and level 3 have very similar activations. They're pretty straightforward, even if they're just absolutely gorgeous. Hit will dash towards an opponent, vanishing of course, and if he connects, he'll trigger the super. Finally, we have Goku Black, and now I need a disclaimer before talking about this guy. I hate Goku Black. I think he's one of the worst villains in Dragon Ball. He seemed very promising at first. He made us think, what if Goku was a bad guy? Who would stop him then? And then he just turned into a very one-dimensional character with a god complex, which sure, he was a god, but his lines are literally all like, "You don't stand a chance against me, you puny Saiyan/human. You are inferior races." Then once he starts getting beat up, he's like, "This is impossible. My race is the superior race." And then he powers up and he's back to, "Of course I powered up. I am the superior race, you insects." And then at the end of it, the sky is full of Zamasu. But despite of my hatred for this character, he's got some of the coolest visuals in Dragon Ball FighterZ. The pink and black colors of his energy are just so visually impressive. It's just really good looking. And as a character, he seems like he is the balanced type. He does a little bit of everything. He's got some zoning options, but nothing too strong or broken. He's really good in the air as well, which there are not a lot of characters who are good in the air. The first attack that really popped out to me was his Kamehameha, where he can just straight up shoot a Kamehameha normally, or he can hold it, and if you hold it for long enough, Zamasu will come out and hold your opponent, making sure they can't block it. Now, you can avoid Zamasu by jumping, and I'm not very sure if that's the only way to avoid Zamasu, but if it is, this will be an incredibly powerful attack. He also shoots a wave of energy out of his blades, though this projectile takes a while to launch, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. He's got a few zoning options, but attacks like these don't seem incredibly powerful. In the air, he can do this Ki Blast Rush and finish the opponent off by stabbing him with the energy blade in his hand, which seems like a great combo finisher for aerial combos. Or instead of that, you can use this downwards kick, which brings the opponent back down to the ground and even drags him through the floor a little bit, and that just looks really cool. He's also got an instant transmission as one of his specials, and it seems that the position you'll land on will be different depending on the attack button you press, but without testing this move ourselves, it's hard to say if you can follow it up with any attack, so I can't really speak to how useful it is, but it looks like it will be potentially very powerful. As far as supers go, we've seen 3 supers from this character, 2 level 1 supers and a level 3. I think everyone's seen his level 1 where Zamasu comes in and assists him, but then he also has the second level 1 super where he creates the energy blade around his hand and throws some projectiles at the enemy. And finally, we have his level 3 with the Scythe, which is one of the most impressive supers in the entire game in terms of visuals. visuals. The activation is pretty fast, it has some decent reach, but it's supposed to be used from melee range, and you can do it while on the ground or in the air, so expect to see this one a lot while playing against Goku Black. And that's how I think these 3 characters fit into the final roster. I do believe the roster is now complete, though Bandai Namco are not saying that the roster is complete, and that's making me a little bit nervous. Maybe there's something else coming, maybe there's not, maybe they just have to confirm that Android 21 is playable and then show some goddamn gameplay. But whatever the case, they're holding an open beta next month from January 14th to the 16th. It's open, so anyone can join, and the word on the street is that the build for this beta will actually be the final build with all the characters in the launch roster. So if they have anything left to announce, they don't have a lot of time left to do it. Anyway, that's the video for today, though this coverage did bring us a lot of gameplay from Adult Gohan, Gotenks, and Kid Buu, and we might analyze that too in the near future. But for now, here's the latest Dragon Ball FighterZ video that we made. It's about costumes that we'd like to see in the game. If you're in the mood for something else though, there's also the video at the bottom, but as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Goku, and I'll see you guys next time. Boy!